From PlebLab in Austin, Texas, this is Stacker News Live.
There. Hey, how you doing, Stacker News? This is the first time I screwed up. Welcome, everybody, to Stacker News Live. My name's Car with my BFF Keyan, and tell them about that. I didn't.
Oh, we're here. Yeah, we're here. Look, if you go now, when we stream live, I made it so we got this little banner.
Wow. Can you believe it?
And you should be able to click on it and view
Does
us.
it go? Uh-oh.
There it is.
Whoa, that is so cool. So there you go.
Yeah. So we should have, it should make it a little more clear that we do this.
Yeah. We do
I'm not sure anyone should watch it, but you know what? Too bad.
It's too late now. Cool. How was your week?
How was my week? My week was, I think my week was pretty good. I think a lot. I was deploying code, and I hate deploying code. It's like a nightmare. There's no really nice way to do it. But that's most.
I saw some of those things. We can't wait to dive into it later at the show when we cover the meta stuff. But yeah, dude, you guys are just that Stacker News team, man. You put together a pretty good team, dude.
Wait till you see what Exius has written over the last week. He has done a full notification thing, so you'll get like live notifications from a PWA and stuff.
That's awesome. I can't wait to, and then also too, it's just, I feel like it's just more lively on there than it's been, I would say the past few months, right? It just feels like it's just going like this. Maybe it's because I see Rook's posts now, but I don't know.
Yeah, it is going. I think it is. We have been growing a little bit. And I think it's just somewhat of a network effect. It takes time to really build unless you have someone, if you have someone like a Jack show up, it kind of will curve up really fast.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's not something, a platform like Stacker News or Reddit or Hacker News. The growth curve tends to be kind of slower at first because you don't have large personalities because they don't have much of a benefit of being on the platform. They don't accumulate followers or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a bit different.
I think from the vast majority of people that are on there, like you have Odell on there, Marty's on there.
Yeah. Those guys are definitely
on there. Like all the big names that are the big.
Is Safe on there?
I thought you did an AMA with him.
Nope. I don't think so.
Oh, okay. Well, Jimmy's on there, right? So you have a lot of people.
Those are the important guys. All the guys who are on there.
That.
The important ones are on there.
Car's not saying that. But I think if I'm the stackers out there, it's time to make 5 accounts. I'm telling you. Make 5 Stacker News accounts.
We might run out of account
He will close
UTXOs.
the gate. I know Keyan. He will close the gate.
What?
If it comes down to saving Stacker News every day for the people that are there, or if it comes down to onboarding new people, I know Keyan is going to be like, shut the gates. 5 Stacker News.
That's right.
Accounts.
I will sacrifice the future people. I will pull the trolley car level and sacrifice it for you.
J curve incoming. But yeah, with that, let's get into the top 5 stories of the week on Stacker News Live. These are the top posts. If you guys, your first time joining in, this is the top posts that the stackers have voted for. We don't pick them at all. These are the ones that you guys posted. All the comments, we read them. And this is why I think this show's for y'all. Right. So the first top story is how actually OpenAI wins. This is from Max Webster. 20 comments, 10K boost, 14.9 thousand sats. This is a Bitcoin post.
Yeah. I wish Max had given, he sent me this ahead of time. I wish I'd given feedback on the title because it's a bit hard to read the title. I get hung up on it. But anyway, so there's another post from Max. He tends to share his vision for the future periodically on his venture capital fund blog. And he's currently very into AI, literally going out in the San Francisco, AI underground and talking to people and doing what he does best. But he sees a world where AI actually overlaps quite a bit with his current crop of investments, and thinks that AI might be better in a world where it's using Nostr, it's using Bitcoin. And it might be the only way it stays decentralized is by using decentralized technologies. And, because that's Max's biggest fear, according to this blog, is that AI is centralized either in the hands of corporations or governments. And while there is a lot of uptake on open source AI models, it's still unclear how they get trained in a decentralized way, how how that training gets funded, because the compute resources that they use are very expensive. And overall, he just kind of lays out the whole thing and kind of brings anyone up to speed who maybe is unfamiliar with specifically kind of the economics and the data economics, if you will, of training AI models. And so I thought it was pretty cool. He links to a couple things. There was a Lalu and Cody, I think, were at a AI hackathon, and they wrote a lightning payment system for it looks like API chain or something like that. They wrapped something to use lightning micropayments for paying open source models.
Yeah,
and so
I think
there's people thinking about it.
Yeah, Nifty did the Lit Devs last night with Dusty, and they were going over her particular example on that HTTP 402 protocol.
Okay, cool.
And she did a whole demo. It was awesome, dude. It was like in real time inside Replit, like showing us exactly to everybody how it worked. And yeah, I think I don't know if you have the one where she showed up the Cody one. So Cody has one on his Twitter. Yeah, so the one that Replit, yeah, that one. So that one, she showed, I guess, the base 58 code on there that we're looking at yesterday. And dude, it was fascinating to see. And then once you show that the first time, then you kind of see like, what it looks like there. But then the discussion afterwards is right around what Max was talking about. It's like, oh, it opens up the possibilities for this. And I really loved what Dusty said. And I'm probably going to butcher it here, so sorry if you're listening. But he said something like where it's really cool to see where Lightning started, like in handful of years ago,
2016.
To where it is now. And he said it's like very close to where we could probably be here in the short term.
Yeah. I think the 402 payment codes are really exciting. They haven't had a lot of uptake yet. I think that's just because there hasn't been a critical mass of people who might be willing to use them. But I think that's likely to change, especially as you have more gated APIs that are expensive to run, and we're seeing these advertising-based business models fail. And so companies will be looking for alternatives to them. And I think Bitcoin is likely going to be the solution that they use, even if they don't reach for it first. But I think eventually they might. Mm-hmm. And so it's very exciting, I think. And then the world of like machine-to-machine payments, which is kind of also something Max touches on in his article, is because most to use Bitcoin in a custodial sense, you usually have to have an identity, a government identity. And what kind of identity does an AI have? We're not to the point where the government is KYCing robots yet, but
this gets to us to machine. So basically that would be like machine-to-machine payments, and then this is where they annihilate the humans because they don't need us anymore.
But Max has a
joking. I'm joking though. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you actually believe that.
I know. For the record, I know. But this is kind of like where because to be honest, like even in the stackers here, like the comments I'm reading the comments, Darth Coin is one of the biggest, he's against AI. He even says in the comments, I won't say that because I don't curse, but, yeah. And then Ezekiel says, you start to sound like a bot Darth. so right now that just shows that the same discussions that I have, personally, people aren't, or at least Bitcoiners aren't really looking to do stuff in AI. I think we had one of the guys here who came in with an AI idea and then quickly realized, oh, it's not worth it. So I think it's further away than kind of what Dusty was saying last night. I think it's like, it's close, but it's like, there's still a lot of, you have to get people on board to want to do it. You know what I mean? Like the devs have to want to do it.
You mean, you're talking about AI specifically? Or?
Yeah.
There is a lot of, there are a lot of like human maximalists in Bitcoin.
Oh, there you go. That's a perfect word.
Yeah. And they're very kind of against, like the reason they love Bitcoin is that they feel like it's very human. It's serving like a very human need. And I think a lot of them, like the ones that do hate AI, they hate that they might infringe on the humanness that we, that they as Bitcoiners really, really like and enjoy. So I don't know. I mean, it could really go a lot of ways. I mean, most technology is a double-edged sword, and I think AI will definitely have consequences, just like social media does. But just like social media has benefits, I think so will AI. But maybe the double-edged sword will be bigger and sharper, and and you'll get cut by the side you don't want to.
Yeah,
a little more frequently.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I'm not one way or another right now. I'm just kind of watching it, watching the wheels go round and round.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think in general it'll be good, but it might be bad.
I will say this, hats off to, Max for writing this post. I read it. I was like, wow, that's amazing. Dude, when he came to PlebLab, every time he comes to PlebLab, I feel like I learn a little bit more from the guy, but like I was telling you after I read it, I was like, dude, he thinks a lot about this stuff. Like, and you're basically kind of saying, yeah, he does. Like, he's like really.
No, he's very, I mean, this is his job. His job is to think about the future and try to find people he thinks are headed there.
And I know Han, Han is also another person I've talked to about this.
About AI.
Yeah. Like with the hackathons, the stuff that we do. So,
I see.
Yeah. So I think if people want to build it, we'll do it. But like, you can't really force people to, build on something unless but this helps.
Yeah. Yeah. Clearly it's happening. And I think it is. I don't think AI is as much of a thing in Austin as it is in San Francisco. It seems to be,
that's a good,
it seems to be a little bit caught on quite a bit stronger in San Francisco, which actually makes me kind of suspicious of it. But
what?
It does. I mean, I love San Francisco, but I think why aren't the people in San Francisco as excited about Bitcoin?
Well, we had that AI workshop here that Topher did, and dude, it was like the most people we've ever had.
Yeah, so maybe it's just people, or
I think it's just
Bitcoiners.
It's just getting people to actually want to do it. I think
you're right.
Yeah.
Very cool post.
Yeah. So the next top story is why I'm done with non-custodial mobile Lightning wallets. This is from Billiam, a Bitcoin post, June 20th, 48 comments, 6,392 sats. Wow. What is this?
Yeah. So Billiam gave a bunch of non-custodial mobile Lightning wallets a try, and he tried all the major ones, Blixt, Breeze, and Phoenix. I personally use Breeze as my non-custodial node on my phone. A lot of people prefer Phoenix, which uses async, which is the biggest Lightning node on the network, and has apparently the best UX around this non-custodial mobile experience. But they said they kind of got fed up after they eventually ended up with 15 open channels and kind of an inconsistent inbound liquidity on their channels. And then instead they said they switched to running their own node, which I wonder why they weren't just using that to begin with. But I guess maybe if you're connecting over Tor, it became unreliable over the last few years, and maybe you felt like that was insufficient. And they said they also will use a wallet of Satoshi from now on and just make sure their balance doesn't get super high. Which, I mean, a lot of people are using wallet of Satoshi now, but
I guess you would have to sweep it every week, right? That's
what he said. He said he sweeps it. He will swap on chain anytime it gets to 500,000 sats, which at least he has a method. He has like a method to the madness here. And I personally don't point my finger at anyone who's looking for a better UX. I don't think that's the right thing to do as a builder. I think mostly the approach should be, he has a problem and he's solving it in a way where he's having to trust someone. And the solution isn't to change his mind.
Sorry, the doorbell.
That's the doorbell for the whole office. Our lightning doorbell. And I don't think the solution is to build better trustless tools, not to convince him that he should deal with the UX trade-offs. But maybe there's a reason to argue otherwise.
Tony jumping in. He said another person spoiled by the convenience of IOUs. Yeah.
I think it's Tony, as someone who is, a strong believer in non-custodial solutions, is building a really privacy, like a very sophisticated, privacy focused, non-custodial Lightning wallet. You could understand how he has this perspective. And
yeah, I mean, we talk to them all the time about their project, and it's bullish, dude. I think everybody in the space is bullish on that Mutiny team.
I think I saw on Nostr that they already have 300 users, even though they haven't really been promoting it. They've been like casually talking about it.
Yeah, from what he was saying, at least on Nostr, that he's just like they're like testing all the bugs right now, so they're trying to squash them before they fully release. So yeah, I think somebody will solve it, and I think they'll probably be one of the ones that probably does. I would have bet against them. But yeah, it's, I will say this though. This is the only thing. And I think I say this all the time. There's something to be said about having like a voltage node though. Like, and I'm not just saying that just like corporate speak. I'm saying that like, dude, it works. It works really well.
As a pleb, you mean?
Oh no, not as a pleb. Or maybe if you're looking to build, but like
as a business.
But as a business, it makes no sense not to use it. You could still do the self-custody thing. And then there's Unchained Capital for that. So to me, it just makes total sense. If you're a business running on voltage and then using Unchained Capital for your multisig, why wouldn't you? I mean, if you want to be self-sovereign, I guess, but
yeah, well, I mean, voltage is a shade of self-sovereign. I mean, there are some people who argue voltage is custodial because they could theoretically get access to your keys.
From what I was seeing though, they've kind of, I mean, didn't all the way fix that, but if you pull up their page, now they have tiers. Now they rolled out Surge this week. It's not in the top stories, but this kind of similar. And you can kind of see there where they have different tiers. You can get a dedicated server now, whether that's in the same instance or whatever you would call that, Keyan. But like, there's options there now. So I don't know. I'm
not sure. So that doesn't exactly address some people's concerns, but it's kind of in the weeds to discuss what might make a voltage node sort of custodial. It's how some people define custodial is voltage is able to take money from you. Voltage is able to, And so there are some people who argue there are things the things that voltage could do that could allow them to steal money from you. It's very unlikely that they do that. Obviously they'd lose all of their customers, so they wouldn't do that. And it's also very difficult. It's actually technically quite difficult for them to do as far as I understand. So there's also that.
There's also, they were talking about it on Lit Devs last night. Was it the Blockstream Greenlight? Is it called Greenlight? I forget what it's called, but it allows you to hold the keys away from the server.
Yes.
So that stuff kind of working on. I know is it Breeze that's also working on that too or something? I don't know. Just something I heard yesterday.
I think Voltage, they are also like non-custodial maxis, knowing the team there. So I suspect any improvements on the situation where they can help businesses run nodes easier that make it even more secure, they will do.
So that's why I'm saying it's like.
Well, I've been very bullish on voltage from the beginning. I think, I was always like voltage to the moon whenever I was interacting with anyone.
It's desperately needed.
Yeah.
Cool. That was a great post. Oh wow, I wasn't expecting this one. This one's why I hate Apple. This is from Sicky47. This is a tech post. 30 comments, 4,878 sats. Is that Steve Jobs? Did he come back?
I wish. Siggy doesn't though. Siggy's happy he's dead. No, I'm just kidding.
Really?
No, I'm just messing around. Anyway, this post is both Car and I are using MacBooks. We both have iPhones. So
not for long. I'm looking into jumping off iPhone.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us after the Damas stuff might be considering jumping ship, but this post, so we're not the target audience for this, but I also get it. It also makes a lot of sense to me. But Siggy basically describes his experience with Apple, and which is mostly his experience avoiding Apple products.
Whoa, really?
Yeah. So he said his first encounter was his dad had an Apple II in 1977. What a memory that must be. Those are, at the time that was probably the best personal computer you could own, or the only personal computer you could own, really. And would play mostly games on it. And then he became a PC guy, and then got kind of turned off by some of the Apple marketing. And
really, when around 2001 when the iPod came out?
No, it sounds like his first encounter with his dislike was the Apple Super Bowl ad from the 1984 one. It said it rubbed him the wrong way, and he saw it actually as I think he saw it as like, like, how do you have a Super Bowl ad and you're like contrarian at the same time, and you're serving the little guy at the same time? I think that dissonance,
interesting. Yeah,
probably made him feel weird. And it makes a lot of sense to me. I think there's a lot of that in Apple's marketing where they are arguing that you are different by adopting their standard for sameness and like the ideal experience. And I think that certainly now that isn't the case anymore with Apple's products, because most people of a certain class have Apple products. And so they aren't really the device for the outsider anymore. They're the device more so for the yuppie.
Yeah. But I'm kind of like, gosh, dude, I'm like torn with this post because I understand his side. I get it. But at the same time, like, I got Apple pilled like young, dude. Like, I don't know if I ever told this story, but I'll share it really quickly. But we had, we were one of the schools, or I went to one of the schools that had Apple for all their computers and stuff. And I would go hang out with the system administrator, and he was a full on Apple guy. He probably is the one that pushed for it to have Apple products there. And then I would just hang out with him, and like he would teach me all about, this is like right when Steve came back, like, I'm doxing my age, but like, this is like right around then. So I kind of got Apple pilled very young, and then I couldn't really afford one until like I was in my early 20s. So
yeah, they've always been very expensive. As far as I understand,
but I bought the first iPod. Like, I made sure to save up and buy the first iPod.
Yeah. So did Siggy, apparently. I said his wife bought him the iPod, and he said it was his first and only Apple product he ever owned. And he said he really enjoyed it and liked it a lot. He said the build quality was amazing. I don't know if you've read the story of but Tony Fadell has a nice biography where he talks about his path to building the iPod, which like a decade of work. He was invested his life into building an iPod-like device and finally got to build it with Apple. And it's an amazing story. But that device was incredible. And, basically the rest of Apple has been built on that device anyway. But Siggy is now the full journey. Like the end of the story is Siggy is now experimenting with Graphene OS on an Android phone. Yeah. And is quite happily doing that. Ironically, he had to use his daughter's MacBook to be able to unlock the bootloader on his Android device. But now he says he might never use an Apple device again.
Wow. You got Blockchain Boogie says, "Oh, very nice essay. I respect your perspective here, but Apple was almost dead. Then the iPod came and saved their business. The iPhone made it $1 trillion company. Even to this day, Apple is still trying to find products to compete with profitability with the iPhone with little success. The iPhone really changed the world. They pushed the boundaries of design and user experience to leverage the power of broadband, internet, computer application, and telecommunications." Yeah. And then he has some more say in there. I think Blockchain Boog's right.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely think there's reason to really respect Apple and even revere someone like Steve Jobs. I think there's also reason to dislike it.
I think the next Apple will come from the Bitcoin space, personally. Somebody will do it. Because if you think about it, right? Like, there's going to be a decentralized type of thing. I don't know what it will be, but that personal device is going to exist. Somebody will figure it out.
I suspect it will too. I think someone will build it eventually. I don't know how soon. I hope, maybe the Coinkite team, it looks like their devices are gradually transitioning into traditional. Yeah. Well, there's Block. They're getting into hardware now. Mm-hmm. And they've always been in hardware.
And then you never know. The plebs can come out of the blue. And
yeah, we have some people here at PlebLab who are interested or who have experience building hardware. Maybe you can convince them to build.
Car can't convince them to do anything.
What are you talking? You gotta channel your inner Steve Jobs. Turn that shirt into a turtleneck and just sell it.
Never. No,
borrow one from Tristan.
No, it wouldn't. Oh, that's not me. But I think somebody from the Bitcoin space will build a decentralized something, whatever that. I think the hardest part is going to be the this guy here, the laptop. I really love my Mac laptop.
Yeah.
Like, how do you replace that's just too good? Yeah.
Yeah, I think maybe we need to like leapfrog and build a Bitcoin AR system. Maybe that's what we actually need to do. Just like skip all these old devices.
Well, that's probably a good way to look at it. Maybe just go straight to
AR to or live on the blockchain.
Maybe you go and create another Google first, and then you use that money to go create your own device. Who knows? It has to be steps to it, I would imagine. The next top story is streaming on Nostr. This is from Arrow. 17 comments, 3,421 sats, June 22nd. It's a Nostr post. I love that we have different posts now. There's like Nostr, Tech, Bitcoin. The stackers are literally utilizing all these different options now, Keyan.
Yeah, they're using different subs. It's nice to keep them separate. And so I know what I'm going to get when I go there. And hopefully we'll get better UX around it over time. But it's starting to get overwhelmed. But yeah, it's cool. It's cool that people know they can talk about more things now. I
actually enjoy, just real quick, I actually enjoy doing that now. Like selecting, like that's a dopamine hit there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You're like, I get to choose. I'm in power. Yeah, that's how I look. Yeah. That's how I navigate the web. That's my inner voice. Yeah, this is cool. So apparently this is from Kieran, one of the devs on Snort, and he built a feed of live broadcasts that are published to Nostr.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't think I was going through here, and none of them are really. Does he get into
how he did the back? Okay, I guess he does, right? He streamed using. So this is from 0xTR. He said he streamed using Cloudflare Stream a few days ago. I haven't looked too much into this, but it's probably doable from your home server for a few viewers. If you expect to deliver video and audio to thousands of people, I'd say you need data center worth of hardware to transcode and multicast. Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah. So I think it's non-trivial to actually deliver a video and audio stream on Nostr, but it's mostly what's happening here is you're associating a video stream with your Nostr identity. And so that allows you to authenticate, this is me, Car. I am broadcasting this. And so it's not like this data is hosted on Nostr. Nostr is magically providing the infrastructure for video streaming. You still have to do that yourself, but it's cool. It's cool. It's like one more thing that you're able to do on Nostr.
Chep says this is badass. The Zap feature on streams is a killer idea for content creators. Totally.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like Vita Live.
It's interesting. How do you think all these companies that are already kind of doing this, how do you think they're do you think they just keep building in I don't want to name drop any of these companies, but like, how do you think they're going to navigate that with like the Nostr's apps kind of becoming just the standard? I think,
so you saw Zebedee. Zebedee already adopted Nostr inside of their app, and they're using that now as like the, basically the layer, the social layer of their app. Voltage has nodes that you can launch. Vita, I think, has gone pretty deep on the Nostr integration. I think you can actually zap their videos already.
Okay.
I think there's somewhat of a hybrid still. And then, so I think you'll just see a lot of experimentation.
Just kind of moving over.
Yep. There'll be a gradual move over until, and people will go full in when Nostr is mature.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just curious.
That's how I think it works.
Cool. The last top post of the week is Coinkite and their toxic attitude towards users who highlight issues. Man, that's a lengthy title. This is from a Bitcoin post from Satoshi Sat. 21 comments, 2,407 sats. This made the top 5?
Yeah, I guess so. People voted for it.
How many comments did it have? 21. Okay.
Yeah, lots of back and forth. I don't know. There's a lot of mixed feelings about this.
What were they saying?
So there's been a beef going on between Coinkite and wallet scrutiny. If you don't know, wallet scrutiny attempts to reproduce builds for Bitcoin wallets. I think possibly even crypto wallets more generally, and which is more or less saying the code that is published on GitHub or whatever open source code repository matches the build that is actually installed on your device. And for a long time now, wallet scrutiny was unable to reproduce Coinkite's builds, and NVK obviously didn't like this because that more or less is saying NVK is scamming people. And that's what's implied by that claim.
That's what he says here in the thing?
No, but so this post is addressing is his reaction to NVK's reaction to wallet scrutiny. And because NVK reacted kind of poorly, even to people who were trying to figure out why there was an issue with the build, which Satoshi Sat includes himself in the group of people trying to help resolve the dispute. And he said that NVK was just, very hard to deal with. And it upset him and turned him off to the point where he doesn't want to use Cold Car anymore. He doesn't trust them like he might have otherwise. And it's complicated because and then it turned out that it was a very small issue that caused wallet scrutiny not to reproduce the build. And Carl Dong is actually the one credited with figuring this out, but it was a simple timestamp difference in builds that can occur in certain conditions that causes the hash to be off and causes someone like wallet scrutiny to not be able to fully reproduce a build. And that was it. That was the whole issue. The beef didn't have to happen. All that they needed was someone like Carl Dong.
This is for me where I always want to, especially if they've been in the space a really long time. Like it'd be different if it was like a new company that came out and is like, oh, you don't know what they're going to do. But if they've been in the space for a really long time, they have give them the benefit of the doubt until proven otherwise, I would say. But that's just me. This is from Franzap. He says, do you have some links to previous conversations with NVK? Then Satoshi Sat says, he has since blocked me on Twitter. Another example. And then, so that goes into that. Then he says, why are you communicating with him on Twitter? Use Nostr. And then that goes into, because Nostr is a hot myth. Then it goes all the way down until it gets to where you were at. And it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's just a beef. It got out of hand, I think. But it doesn't need to happen anymore. There were a lot of claims, or not really claims. I mean, so we had another post earlier in the week. I don't remember where it is now, but the wallet scrutiny guys came on and they said, we've never said anything disparaging about Coinkite or MVK. We just couldn't reproduce the builds, and that's just just posted that status to our site.
AMA, yeah, there's an AMA that MBK has already addressed all this stuff. Probably not this specific example, but I feel like he's addressing all this stuff already before on Stacker News. So I don't think anybody's linked to that in here, but
yeah, in general, I think it was just a misunderstanding. I think NBK might have gotten the wrong idea about wallet scrutiny and felt attacked by them, but it was really just a misunderstanding. And I'm glad to see it's resolved now. And we'll see wallet scrutiny site get updated, and this beef should be squashed.
It's interesting though that people aren't beefing on Nostr because it's like kumbaya over there. That's what I always said. It's like a kumbaya place where everybody's like, yeah, Bitcoin zapping, which is great. I think that's great. Then you have Twitter where everybody's just like, it's just, it's really hard to I feel like the noise is really hard to tell there. But then everybody comes to Stacker News and there's like full on conversations happening. So I feel like it's just a better place to have these conversations, good or bad, right?
Long form conversations. Yeah. But yeah, I like kumbayas too.
Me too.
So I don't think we need fist fights on Stacker News.
Yeah, me too. Cool. I think that's all the top 5 stories of the week. I'm going to bring up my post. So tonight here at PlebLab, this is just me chilling stackers. I'm sorry. We're doing Satlantis. Satlantis, this has been covered on Stacker News before. If you don't know, it's a Minecraft server with proof of work with Bitcoin rewards. Definitely check it out. If you're into Minecraft, you can earn sats. They release Bitcoin every 10 minutes. Play.satlantis.net is a server IP. There's a Discord, or just go to Twitter at @PlaySatlantis. They're also on Nostr. Dude, big party. What do you think?
Yeah, what do we got? Like 20 people here? Free barbecue?
I think it went pretty well.
I just came for the free barbecue, but yeah, there's a lot of people. No, I don't. But no, it seems awesome. All the big names here. The Mutiny guys.
Don't dox.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, not the Mutiny guys. What's the opposite of Mutiny?
There's a lot of people that you see from Austin are here, which is kind of cool. It's just like,
but not the Mutiny guys.
I think what I want to say is just like, you can tell like we're moving to a world now, at least in Austin, when it comes to Bitcoin stuff, is like it's we're getting saturated with the amount of events that we have, and people are looking for a different offering, I think. And this is one of our friends, has this
had this vision
for Satlantis, and everybody in the community is coming here tonight to support him. And that's kind of what it's about, dude. It's like, let's support another project, right? So it's really cool. Really cool to see.
Yeah, really cool. We know a lot of stackers who play Satlantis, and I think I'm
going to set one up here inside the printer room and play Satlantis on my break.
Cool.
I've been playing NBA Jam every day. It's I'm not earning sats that week. Yeah.
You let yourself have a break? You give yourself like a 15 minutes?
I've been doing that lately.
Like your old fiat jobs?
I go space out on NBA Jam for like 45 minutes.
That's nice.
Dude, I like dropping buckets. What can I say?
Dude.
What's your top story?
I just wanted to do some run through, like maybe like more like some of the hot news that.
Oh, here we go.
Maybe
Keyan loves the spicy stuff.
I don't know. So there's a Blackrock ETF. I just want to mention it briefly. Apparently they're going to do that. I don't know. I don't know anything about financial instruments, or I know an ETF is
you know what to call it, a financial instrument.
It's a financial instrument, and that's kind of,
So what do you think? What's your?
I mean, it's like paper Bitcoin. Like they have paper gold, and people think a lot of like institutions are going to buy.
My thing is like, do you think it'll fork eventually? You think we'll have paper Bitcoin? And then we'll have like, do you think we'll have to fork?
Oh, you mean like the proof of stake stuff everyone's talking about?
No, I'm just talking about like, let's say this goes through all that kind of stuff. It gets to a point where it's clearly manipulated. Do we fork?
Do we fork away from BlackRock's ETF? Just like all of us Bitcoiners use something else to screw BlackRock.
That's where I'm wondering, like, do we go?
That's an interesting attack that we might be able to do on it, but I'm not so sure. I think their ETF could probably, because if we end up forking, all the UTXOs that BlackRock owns would be present on the fork as well as the original chain. So I'm not sure there's much we can do. ETFs usually are bad for
gold. Look at gold.
Yeah, pretty bad for something like gold, because the prices do get manipulated and stuff. Anyway, it's a thing. It might be happening. Who cares? But that's why a lot of people think the price is pumping. Also, who cares about that? But the thing I was more interested in.
Yeah, tell me I thought you were interested in the price.
No, what I meant what I was interested in is what makes this maybe different, and what does it say about the government and the way they think about Bitcoin? Yeah,
that's another thing, right? Yeah. So basically, tell them.
Yeah. So this is a story that CoinDesk published, and they claim to know the reason why, or I think it might be public, is like the main difference in this ETF versus others is that there is a surveillance sharing agreement between BlackRock and I think the SEC or some other organization, I think it's between NASDAQ, who has a very close relationship with the SEC. The claim is that this is to prevent manipulation in the market by people purchasing the ETF, but it's just in general, it's consistent with the theme of like surveillance. The government wants more surveillance.
They're using Coinbase custody, aren't they? They're going to use Coinbase custody.
Coinbase custody, which is already, probably pretty well surveilled. There's some people who are in this article were saying, you know what, this has nothing to do with being concerned about manipulation. They could already do this type of surveillance if they wanted, is what someone argues in here. Anyway, that's what's going on.
I got two questions for you. What do you think is the likelihood? Look, can you scroll up? It looks like he's behind us. Or this way.
Oh, did it? Yeah. It did. That's pretty cool, actually. Let's keep him there.
That's weird. What do you think about this guy back here? What do you think about
Who is this guy?
So what do you think? Like, what was I going to go? I was going to go with, do you think it'll get to a point where that's what I was going to say. What's the percentage on this getting passed or not? Like, what's your percentage?
Oh, this is interesting. It
looks like this guy's behind us.
My bet. Yeah, I know. I like it. My bet is that.
Who's that?
My bet is they actually, I think it might actually happen. I give it like 50-50. More likely than probably any before. Yeah.
You think it's 50?
You think it's more likely?
I think it's like 90%. I think if you look on Twitter, a lot of people were saying that it's like a guaranteed thing because of all the stuff they've turned down and certain companies that have
vested interests. Yeah. BlackRock is probably, is very substantial. But they've been trying to do it for like a year though.
From what I understand about BlackRock, and this is just, don't believe me, but from what I understand, they also audit the Fed.
Okay. I didn't realize. I mean,
they have a separate entity, but it's attached to BlackRock. At least if you go back and look, you type in BlackRock Fed audit. Yeah.
That's kind of, I know the Fed is run by banks, but
what I'm trying to say is like, this looks all kind of suspect.
Yeah. What is that phrase? It's like the dog wagging the tail or something.
Yeah, that was a good movie.
Or
Wag the dog.
The tail wags the dog. Something like that.
I don't know, man. I see this going through. I see, I think at this point, are you surprised? Like, I'm not surprised this is going on. We kind of, man.
I mean, I don't know what's going on, but I'm surprised we'll see an ETF. I just thought they'd never allow it. So it's kind of interesting. What's more interesting is like the duplicitousness of the government for me, but kind of cool. Another kind of spicy thing that happened on Stacker News this week was Dirac Delta came on and basically implied that Swan is about to go bankrupt following the Prime Trust bankruptcy, and that the Swan's association with Prime Trust would lead Swan to go bankrupt as well after BitGo it fell out of negotiations to acquire Prime Trust. I don't know. This stirred up a bunch of stuff, and
it was a spicy week.
It was a very spicy week. Corey has replied on Twitter and, said there's actually nothing to be concerned about. They already got all their funds out of Prime Trust. There will be no clawbacks, as is implied by both Dirac Delta and David Bailey here on Twitter. He said there's no precedent for that actually happening in a bankruptcy proceeding, which makes a bunch of sense. And so,
did you see what Mills said in the thing there?
No, what did she say?
No, Brad Mills says this is a pretty big allegation. Prime Trust was just a custodian. Why would there be a hole?
Yeah, and it's a trust. I think is something that I found that I saw Corey say is like the whole point of a trust is that they can't legally spend the money that is stored in them. So I guess I think it's maybe sounding the alarm a little early. I mean, all of us should know better than to use custodians, period.
I think the bigger question here, and this is me just like thinking this through, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but if they move the funds, like, could they have technically because of the private keys? Or no, Swan doesn't store. I don't use Swan, but so they don't store.
No. Okay. Custodial.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they were using Prime.
So I think I never use Swan. Do you buy it and then they hold it in their custody? And then you go.
So you buy it on Swan, but Swan uses Prime Trust tools, I believe, to even, facilitate the exchange of fiat for Bitcoin. And the Bitcoin.
Where does that go? It should go to your wallet, right?
The Bitcoin is stored in Prime Trust until you withdraw it from Swan.
Okay.
And so some people aren't, some people aren't with some of their customers likely store their Bitcoin with Swan because they're like a lot of people, but Swan has a long history of encouraging people to take things into self-custody. Okay. And so and Corey, for all, he can make a lot of noise on Twitter, but he tends to be the first person to call fraud when it's out there. So I suspect if he's committing fraud too, he would, I mean, if not if he's committed, but if anything was going on weird, I'm sure he would come forward and say it because he knows better than anyone what that can look like.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But, here's Corey's response and, you can find it on Twitter and read it, but he's like, dudes, there's nothing to be concerned about here. And he also has some,
what did the stackers say?
I mean, a lot of people were confused by this post. Some people believed it. And then some people were like, oh no, this isn't after they saw Corey's response. They're like, oh no, there's nothing actually to be concerned about. And We had some discussion on the ranking algorithm because there were some people who thought it had been gamed.
How does that work then, Keyan? Does that mean that, because if like, let's say he comes again next week and does the same thing all over again and people upvote it, like how does that work?
If people upvote it, that's what they're choosing to do. They're spending their money to put it in front of people. And if it's not true, then they're spending money to spread information that's not true. And hopefully there are other people who will flag it and say, or not upvote it to begin, not zap it to begin with, would be my strategy for, I think it's what people should do is don't trust, verify, pay attention to the information before you spend money on it. Yeah. Don't just believe it. And, there was no gaming of the algorithm. It's people honestly believed it was true, and I think because they linked to who first? Where did that link actually come to from? Was it just a normal post? It was a discussion post.
Oh, it was a discussion post. Okay, I thought they had linked to Bailey's original post.
Anyway, but there's some more interesting, like kind of weird stuff going on with Prime Trust that might be worth.
I think it's a bear market. People are going to complain.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is.
Looking for beefs, really.
And then these are big companies in the space, right? Like
some of the biggest.
Ideally, personally, you don't want them going down. Like for Bitcoin adoption, you don't want them going down. I'm not saying I'm not saying that you should, curtail anything they're doing. I'm just saying that's not good for Bitcoin if they go down. Personally,
nope.
They onboard a lot of people.
Yep.
Cool. I think that's it. Next we got the meta.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of meta. We'll go through it really fast. We added another sub for meta so that all this stuff can live there. We don't have to really talk about it, or people who don't want to see it can go to other subs and not see it. But there were some other small changes. We talked about the banner, but that's basically it. That's what we have going on right now. Some changes to freebie posts and comments. They're not really limited anymore. We think we've improved the kind of balance of visibility and stuff.
Telling you guys, it's coming. Make 5 Sacker accounts.
People to post if they don't have sats a little bit in a restricted way. That's still okay, but that's the kind of vibe. And then we usually do the segment here at the end, which we call super stat segment because Super Testnet has asked for this. But our top spenders of the week. So this is the person that everyone thought was gaming was Poaxu, who had no influence on the ranking at all, but they spent quite a bit of money and they gave Stacker News users nearly 10,000 sats.
Wow.
Exius, also a big spender. 02AC, another big spender. South Korea LN. Max came in, probably boosted, I think, his AI post.
Oh, his pictures the Stacker News hat?
Yeah, he has a Stacker News. He has a limited one of the
awesome.
Very few Stacker News hats.
I got my hat. I just haven't worn it in a while.
You have one, yeah.
Anywhere.
Someone was asking on YouTube about it. And I got to make more. But those are the top spenders and the top stackers this week. So Dirac Delta from Poaxu stacked quite a bit for their controversial post. Bird Eye. Next up on Bird Eye is a recent user who's recently come on, and they are like world class at starting discussions. I wish I were that good at starting discussions, but they are actually really good. They can really prompt really well. It's a great discussion. So well-deserved stacking. Satoshi's Siggy 47 stacked quite a bit. South Korea LN stacked quite a bit, and so did Max and Cowboys. Let's look at Cowboys.
Oh, Lord. You're getting multiple complaints about these cowboy hats.
It wasn't a complaint. It was
a total complaint. Inside the PlebLab internal chat, we have somebody of notoriety was complaining about the same thing I was complaining about.
You'd really think I don't
want to say who that was. I will say though, Keyan, hey man, give us dystopian trail, give us the market.
Give us the
Come on, ZKS. I know you can do it.
No. Anyway, yeah. So someone we know had a really long streak going. They had I think it was I think they might have had the longest streak. It was 140 days or something. They had a streak since streaks got introduced, and they lost it. And they were quite disappointed in themselves for doing that.
Let us buy the hat.
But they'll get another one, and that's how it goes in the West, Yippee-ki-yay. But there's we got CLR still at the top of the charts there. And more certainly quiet at the top now that our friend lost theirs. Siggy47.
Siggy's been killing it though. I will say that he does deserve the top hat.
Yeah. Darth Coin also. I'm climbing the ranks, guys. Watch out. I'm coming for you. I only have 26
I do have
days.
a cowboy hat right now. Look at that. Can you believe it?
Do you?
Yeah, I have a cowboy hat.
Okay, it's new. All right. Yeah.
Because I lose it with the snakes in the dirt every time.
It's always the snakes in the dirt. It should be random.
Okay. At this point,
anyway, but that's I think that's it.
Cool. What are you doing this weekend?
What am I doing this weekend? I think I'm going to review Exius's PR. I have the newsletter to write. There's some other stuff I want to do. Finishing up deploying Booger.
Yeah.
But nothing fun. I don't have any fun plans. How about you? Do you have fun plans?
No, just work. We're doing a lot here, making PlebLab as great as we can. So we have Teresa in here for the week to like help us with all that stuff. So going to do all that stuff. And then at some point, I want to write a post this weekend. So I'm probably going to spend Sunday after church and write a post about something.
You got an itch for writing?
I'm trying to do. I used to do every week. Now I don't have that time, so I'm going to try to do every other week now because I can dedicate, every other week. But I can't do every week anymore. It's just not enough time in the week.
That sounds.
But I'm thinking. I have an idea for something. I think it's going to be good. Cool. I like reflecting.
What can you give us a hint? Like just a little taste. Prepare us.
I'm trying to think. It'll probably be more about, I like writing about entrepreneurship and Bitcoin entrepreneurship specifically.
Yeah.
So it'll probably be more in that vein because that's kind of what I've been studying a lot. I showed you that whole WeWork and the Certechery post with all that stuff. So maybe I'll talk about that kind of stuff.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Yeah, because I think there's similarities there with like how to view technology companies in the physical space, and that's kind of what I've been paying a lot of attention to. But anyway, That's what I'm gonna be doing, and stackers, you'll have a great weekend.
Yes, Zap.